Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Tuesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go up to our friends up in the Gold Coast in particular, speak with the Paradise Diving Club. And of course, we've got two very special guests joining us right now to tell us a bit about how it's been like up in Queensland, especially in the diving side of things. And they're at Paradise Diving and they're joining us right now. Thanks, Brody, for joining us.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for having us.
I'll get both of you to introduce yourselves and tell us how's it been like, especially in the past couple of weeks as I'm assuming we would be heading towards the diving season.
Hi, my name's Lily and I've been diving for 6 years and I think it's been going really well at the moment, and we've got a few comps coming up that we're training for. So got to get a few new dives off for my events, and yeah.
All right, I'll step in. I'm Joey Zuber, so I was a former diver like Lily one day, and Lily is actually doing very well at the moment. She has learned a new dive. She's learned a front 2.5, so that's good. She gets to show off those skills at that competition coming up. So my background is coming from a diving perspective as a normal diver, and then I moved into the world of performing in shows, and then competing with the Rebel Cliff Diving World Series. And now I normally commentate with the Rebel Cliff Diving World Series. Nobody's traveling, so we're not going overseas right now. And also do a bit of work with FINA, but now I'm very, very happy to be coaching the athletes at the Paradise Diving Club. It's a great bunch of divers and a great attitude. And to be honest, to answer the question about what's happening at the moment. So we do have a competition on the 29th of November. We did have one in Brisbane about a month or so ago. So it's nice to be back competing. Obviously, we've all been through the whole COVID experience and been through our various lockdowns in various states. But it's great to have competitions to keep us motivated and to be going forward. But it's a wonderful pool. We've got a great view of the Broadwater, and looking forward to the next event. And our athletes are doing very, very well indeed currently.
Now, Joey, I need to ask you this question first. You mentioned about you just finished an event or competition in Brisbane last week. Tell us, how did that all go for the club?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I've only taken over just recently. I mean, I actually did coach the club about 10 years ago, but that went really well, actually. So I think we had two firsts or three firsts and then a third as well. So we did well. That was a qualifying comp, and the most important aspect of that competition, or the results that we're looking for, was to get the divers qualified for the national championships, which will be next year sometime, normally in April around the Easter holidays. So that was a chance for those three athletes to get their qualifying scores across, and they did. And now we're going to have a much bigger turnout in terms of the remainder of the athletes that we have. So I believe we should have at least, I'd say, around 9 to 10 athletes competing, and then maybe some from the other groups and the development squads as well. So maybe up to 15 athletes in our club. So looking forward to it. That's our home turf.
Lily, how did you go last week?
Well, I wasn't able to go to the comp because I had something on that day, but yeah. But I am preparing for the upcoming one, and hopefully I qualify for nationals next year.
Yeah, and also in their defence as well, some of the divers didn't actually compete because of the interruption with COVID, and they were unable to train for around 3 months. So it was difficult to get everyone up to speed and get their strength and flexibility and all their skills going. Diving's a difficult sport, scary mentally, physically. You need to be in shape, you need to be flexible, you need to have good aerial awareness. So it's not like a sport where you can pick up the tennis racket and just hit the ball. Like, this is something where you need a lot of time to get prepared. So you need months to get back into form to be able to dive at a competitive level again. So I have to give the divers a lot of credit. They've done a great job in turning around their bodies and their physique and their skills in such a short amount of time. So in their defense, that's why most of them didn't compete at the last event, and now it's gangbusters. We're going forward.
Yep. Now, I want to ask both of you this question. Obviously, you mentioned before, Joey, that a lot of them haven't, I guess, had a chance to train or and similar to that with COVID, and especially like the 3 or 4 months that obviously the pools have been shut. I guess how difficult has that been for you, Joe, as a coach? And the same question to you, Lily, as a diver.
So during the break, it was quite challenging to get training in because obviously we couldn't go to the pool, but we did do a lot of Zoom calls and we did online workouts with each other. And for those who have like trampolines, we practiced on that. And when the restrictions were lifted, we were very rusty when we came back to the pool, and we just went right back to basics to work on our techniques and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'll step in here, but when you've come off a long break, for the 3 months or so, and although you can work out at home, you can't obviously get the full workout in with all the equipment that we have available at the pool. It was a lot of heavy strength, particularly when I came back, and lots of basics, lots of fixing habits, like Lily said. But to be honest, I'm very impressed the divers have, and since we did have the lockdown and since they've come out of that, they've really done a lot of work, and I can see a huge difference in the last 2 months of their performance.
Now, diving obviously is a unique sport for the fact that I think most of your competitions are during the summer, and obviously COVID sort of happened during the winter, where most of the country got locked down between around March through to, I guess, mainly August. That must be really good to hopefully to get back into some normality in regards to competition wise, obviously in the next couple of weeks to months as we hit the summer.
Yeah, it's been really good because it's a lot warmer, and in the winter it was very cold and it was harder to train. But now that it's coming to summer, it will probably be a lot better and fun.
Yeah, and I mean, here in Queensland, we've been extremely fortunate as well. I hate to say it, we felt like we haven't been affected all that much once we got through the actual lockdown. So it's been good for us. But we do feel it because obviously we can't travel interstate, and a lot of these divers will travel interstate for various competitions, 1 or 2 events a year for the national championships. So that's the only thing that would be missing out of our routine at the moment. But look, I can just say that we're extremely fortunate that we're in a situation where we can train and do that at the moment, and we're gonna make the most of it. That's for sure. But we'll get back to some sense of normality at some point. Of course, it's just have to be careful for now.
Now, Joe, you mentioned before about, of course, Queensland's very fortunate, especially with, I guess they've got COVID sort of contained up there at the moment. I guess you mentioned about the interstate travel. Obviously, Melbourne just got out of lockdown. Adelaide is now the COVID hotspot at the moment. I guess, are you concerned as a coach that I guess especially your divers are not going to be able to go interstate and compete in their competitions and nationals in the 2021 season?
I guess it's a bit like everyone else. It's it's a waiting game, isn't it? I mean, we hope. I wouldn't say concerned, but yes, we hope we can go back and travel at some point. But we just have to, like all of us, we have to do the best we can as people in the community by making sure we do everything right and trying to make sure that we avoid any situations where anyone can contract COVID. So we try to do the best that we can, and we hope that the vaccines and that the health system can bolster itself so we can start fresh in the new year. But I do think, my personal opinion, I think, returning to some sort of normality of travel will be a stage by stage process. It won't be all of a sudden the floodgates are open. I think it will just be incremental, domestically and internationally. So, I mean, I'm accustomed to traveling internationally quite a great deal, but I think it will just be a slowly but surely we'll come back. So I'm sure we will, but I do think we need to tread carefully in sort of January, February next year. And then hopefully sort of around the March, April period, we should be have a better idea of what we're doing. So, but also, we're talking a lot with the coaches, the elite coaches up in Brisbane, and they're trying to make plans for travel to go overseas and qualifying systems for the Olympics. So it's an interesting time. Obviously we've never been through this before. So in all honesty, we have to wait and see.
Now, for both of you, of course, you both mentioned how, I guess your diving journeys. I guess, what does the sport of diving mean to both of you, and especially being there at Paradise Diving?
Lily, you start.
Diving is something that I love to do, and I always have. And I think I've been doing it for about 6 years now. And I've loved it ever since the first day I've done it. And it's a very big part of my life. And PDC is like a big family to me, and we all just get along so well. And they're always there. And yeah.
Yeah, I have to actually say that since I've come back, I actually think the atmosphere amongst all the divers and the camaraderie is fantastic. I really, as a coach, am really enjoying the spirit of the divers. And what does diving mean to me? Well, it's been my whole life. Since I was 7 years old, I started diving, and I was in the Institute of Sport for a period of time. And the interesting part about this sport, sometimes it's not just sport, this has become my way of life and my living as well. So as soon as I left school at the age of 19, I was performing in diving shows, and then I started competing professionally as an athlete in the cliff diving competitions. So that's how I made a living and how I traveled the world. And then after that, I started working with the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, like I said before, commentating. And then also I'm part of FINA, which is the International Federation for Aquatic Sports. So it's been all things diving and all things high diving. And now I'm back coaching again. So my entire life since I was 7 years old has revolved around diving. So there's no escaping this sport for me. But it's given me an incredible opportunity to see the world and to travel and to meet fascinating people, to work with athletes as well, and to watch them grow and evolve. And look, the sport of diving is not just about diving. It's also about their well-being. It's also about learning and growing. And I see my role as also making them better people. And if I can, and to enjoy my time with them, and to help them learn lessons with diving that will also apply in their life as they grow older. So I think sport can play a vital role in health, well-being, and also pushing yourself and challenging yourself. So diving is a sport that, it's nerve-wracking. I can tell, Lily will tell you that she gets scared doing a front 2.5 for the first time. So you have to push yourself, you have to confront yourself, you have to train a lot, you have to be dedicated. So these lessons are actually applicable and will transfer to their life later on. So I see diving as a very important sport. It's been a huge part of my life, and it can do wonders for the athletes.
What will be some highlights throughout both your diving journeys so far?
Some of my highlights have been Lightning Ridge in 2016. I came second, third, and sixth, and that was my first big competition. And I think I was 10 at the time, and I'd only been doing it for a year, so I was very, very proud of myself, and it was such a great experience.
Winning the national championships in Australia was the first stage, and then I'd say my most proud moment was winning the Red Bull Cliff Diving finals in Hawaii. That was a place where they had a long-running history of cliff diving in a place called Lanai, on the island of Lanai in Hawaii. And so that was one of the most famous places in the world for cliff diving, alongside Acapulco, Mexico, I would say. And I won that event, and I'm extremely proud of that. And of recent times, I'm very proud of the work that we've done to get high diving into the World Championships, and looking like hopefully will be a demonstration in the 2024 Olympics. And that's the high diving. But I mean, high diving and diving is definitely one family, but and one sport in a way. But they're my highlights.
Now, Joe, I need to ask you this question about, I guess, cliff diving. Obviously, I'm assuming it's the most dangerous part of the sport, considering the elements and everything like that. I guess for you, what convinced you to do cliff diving? And obviously, you're still in it with the commentating side of things. But I guess what is so unique about it that brings people to do it, or even to just to fascinating watching it?
Look, I think sometimes I like the idea of being known to being a good diver. That was one thing. I liked the idea of performing well, and then I like the idea of challenging myself as well. But it was, I mean, the cliff diving came about accidentally in a way. I mean, I heard of these friends working overseas in these shows that were based in Europe or in Hong Kong or Asia or America. And the shows consist of these small pools, about 10 meters in diameter, about 3.5 meters deep, 4 meters deep. And the finale is always diving off from this little tiny ladder, which is about 22 meters high to 25. It varies. Anyway, like I saw that and I climbed up the ladder just to have a look down, and I looked down and it looked like it was a cup of tea. Like you're going to take a step off the ladder and you're going to miss the pool. And I remember saying, I was like, God, I'm not going to do that. But then funnily enough, after about 2-3 months, you start gaining more confidence. And so my friends started to try it. And then I started climbing up bit by bit, 12 meters, 14 meters, 16 meters, 18 meters, step by step, and slowly working my way up. And then I started to really enjoy the challenge of it. And it became a sport that I was good at, and I thought, okay, I can do something with this. And some of my friends encouraged me to compete and said, look, you've got some good dives and good skills. And one thing led to another. But there was no intention of doing it in my childhood, saying, oh, this is going to be my living. But it was just, I liked diving. I generally did, I always have. And that was just an extension of normal diving. But I think I liked the adventure side of it. I liked for some reason I like diving outdoors and being in nature. And that's what the nice thing about our pool at the Paradise Diving Club. It's an outdoor pool. There's not too many of those anymore. Most of them are indoors. And as Lily will tell you, on a Saturday morning, the sun's shining on the Gold Coast and beautiful blue pool, and you're outdoors, and it's a wonderful feeling. But the high diving was just one of those things, forgive the pun, that I fell into. It just evolved.
Lily, I want to ask you this question. Obviously, have you ever, jumped from 10-meter springboard? And number two is maybe cliff diving somewhere down the line. Follow a bit of Joey's journey.
I have jumped off 10-meter before, yes, but I don't know if I would have the guts to become a cliff diver. I think I might stick to the lower ones for now, but maybe when I'm older, I might give it a go.
I was just going to say, yeah, I'll give you a go, Lily. We'll give it a go one day. Down the track. Never say never.
What's the best dive that you've done, Lily?
Probably my twisters, and at the moment even 2.5 maybe. They're my probably really good dives, because I didn't really used to like 2.5, and I had a mental block on it, but I've got it off now, and they're a pretty solid dive.
I'm going to back Lily up on that. I think she did a great job with the 2.5.
Now, what will be both your advice to our listeners and viewers in Queensland that should get involved in diving, especially there at Paradise Diving in the Gold Coast?
I think you should definitely try diving, because it's such a fun and different sport, and it's really cool and fun. And I think it's just a really good sport in general. Like, it's unique. Not a lot of people do it, and yeah.
Yeah, it is a unique sport, I think. I'll back Lily up on that. But I think the benefits of diving, I mean, I see divers, and when they try other sports, they have such a good foundation. It's a bit like doing gymnastics, but for example, strength, flexibility, coordination, aerial awareness, and most other sports don't deal with aerial awareness. So divers, have to do a lot of repetitions on the trampoline, and so they can actually start to understand where they are in the air. The other thing is it pushes you, it challenges you. It's and like I said previously, that can help you in your life, being able to push through things, to face fears, and to go forward. And guess what? It's a ton of fun. We bounce on trampolines, we bounce on diving boards. It's great. What a sport.
We'll finish off with these last two. Now, Lily, do you have a future ambitions in the sport of diving?
Yes, in the future, I'm hoping that I'll be able to one day compete in the Commonwealth Games and Olympics to represent Australia. That has been a very big dream of mine, and especially as a young girl. And I believe I will make it if I put all the effort in and try my absolute best.
Was the final one for both of you. We'll finish off with a light-hearted one, which is, what was the most embarrassing moment on the diving board?
Oh, there have been a few. One time I was doing a dive of 3 meter and I got a bit too close to the board and I hit from my calves down and then I splat on my stomach. And that was very embarrassing.
Oh, embarrassing ones. There's too many to say. It's one of those sports that, you are, particularly when you start trying a new dive. Lily will tell you, like, there's lots of landing on your bum and on your stomach and on your back and all over the place. So, I've had a few embarrassing ones at the Gold Coast pool with Blackie as well. But landed, I dare say, flat on my guts from 10 meter. That wasn't fun. But hey, that's the way it goes. Back on the horse, and I did it again.
Now, I've got to finish up this one last one, talking about splats. Have either of you, when you've done your splats and known that you've messed up the dive, did you try to aim to get your coaches wet?
Depending how close they are, I would try to get them wet a little bit, I guess. It depends how close they are, because if they're too far away, then I don't know if you'd be able to get them wet, but if they're close enough, you can definitely try.
Lucy does, one of our other divers, with her reverse bombs. Yeah. She nails me every day. Oh, no. I mean, every now and then we'd try to, if it was the end of the year, we'd try and grab them and pull them into the pool and those kind of things, have a bit of fun. That's what we used to do. Yeah.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for giving up your time to join us. It's awesome having both of you on the show. I want to wish both of you all the best, especially with the next competition coming up in 2 weeks' time or so, of course, the end of this month. And let's hope it all goes well for not just for both of you, but obviously for the rest of the club. And hopefully we can get back to some normality in regards to the diving circuit, and especially having nationals and other competitions coming up in the next couple of months and ahead.
Thanks so much.
No worries. And that's Lily and Joey there, join us from the Paradise Diving Club. Of course, if you want to get down there to Paradise Diving, of course, we'll put all the details up on how you can go about it, of course, or you can, and we'll, especially down there on the Gold Coast. There's more on the Smash Sport Show right after this. Don't go away here on the Tuesday edition.